Chapter 8, Gender and Politics. Politics as a real-world phenomenon and political science as an academic discipline are being gendered. People all over the world find that the basic condition of their lives, just like their safety, health, education, work, and as well as the access to markets or public space and free expression, are fundamentally shaped by their identification as belonging to particular sex or gender groups. Individual bodies may be typed as male or female, masculine or feminine, hetero or homosexual, transgendered or non-gendered, in a dizzying variety of ways across cultures and over time. However, these social practices of gender often appear natural or even unproblematic, even in biological, and therefore impossible to change in a social context in which they occur. But according also to Butler 1990, Derger 1998, and Fausto Sterling 2000, that a cursory review of the literature on the biological basis of sex, taking into account the wide variety of the number and the content of gender categories across social context, and reveals a world far more complex than the simplistic male-female dichotomy. But we should know that gender is never just about sex, right? But it also varies by race, ethnicity, nation, class, and a variety of other dimensions of social life. To end my part, I will give a situation or an example that is related to gender and politics. So, in the past, right, we all know that women are not allowed to participate in any activities in the government, like they were only trained to do household chores. And their minds are conditioned to be contented to stay at home and take care of their families. And whereas men were responsible to provide the financial needs of their family. And it was very unusual for a woman to lead any group or organization in the community in the past. And the role of women in the political realm was very limited.
Additionally, before the arrival of the Spaniards, Filipino women did not have the right to vote. They were denied the ability to vote due to the counter-arguments that it would destroy family harmony by giving the husband or man of the home in the family less power. Women were not given the ability to vote until after World War II, when a law granting them that right was passed. However, even then, women were prohibited from applying for or holding any jobs in the government. Women have changed so much in this new era that they know how to stand up for what they believe in, to be fair and just, and how to be influential. They no longer hide in the corner and wait impatiently for what will happen next. Instead, they are less frightened to communicate what they think and feel. Fortunately, women were granted the right to vote and received equal treatment in our society. At this point, let me discuss quickly the key concepts. Sex refers to the basic, biologically given physiological differences between males and females. On the other hand, gender refers to a culture's social construction of differences between the sexes. So gender equality and gender equity are different from each other. Gender equality is a principle of equality between women and men and equal rights to enjoy conditions in realizing their full potentials, while gender equity refers to the policies, instruments, programs, and actions that address the disadvantaged position of women in society by providing preferential treatment and affirmative action.
Laws on Gender. Republic Act No. 7192, also known as the Women in Development and Nation Building Act, is a comprehensive law that recognizes the significant role of women in the country's development and empowers them to contribute more to nation building. The law mandates government agencies to provide support for the advancement of women's rights and welfare. This includes programs and services for women's education, health, livelihood, and political participation. The law also promotes gender-sensitive planning and budgeting in all government agencies. Moreover, the law recognizes the need to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women, including sexual harassment, violence, and exploitation. It mandates the creation of mechanisms to protect women's rights and to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions. Republic Act number 7877, or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995, is a law that aims to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace, educational or training institutions, and other similar environments. The law defines sexual harassment and provides clear guidelines on how to report and investigate cases of sexual harassment. It also imposes penalties and sanctions on individuals found guilty of committing sexual harassment. This law is a significant step towards promoting a safe and harassment-free environment for everyone, especially women, who are often the victims of sexual harassment. Its effective implementation can create a more gender-sensitive and inclusive society that respects and protects everyone's rights and dignity. Republic Act number 9262, or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, is a law that aims to protect women and children from all forms of violence, including physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. The law provides legal remedies and support services for victims, including protection orders, counseling, and rehabilitation. It also imposes penalties and sanctions on perpetrators of violence against women and their children. This law is a crucial step towards creating a society that values and protects the rights and welfare of women and children. Its effective implementation is essential in promoting a culture of respect and equality for all. Republic Act number 10354, also known as the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, is a law that promotes access to family planning services, education, and information for all Filipinos, regardless of their status, religion, or beliefs. The law recognizes the importance of reproductive health in addressing poverty, promoting gender equality, and improving the overall health and well-being of the population. It mandates the government to provide reproductive health services and information, including family planning, maternal and child health care, and prevention and treatment of sexually transmitted infections. The effective implementation of this law can improve the quality of life of Filipinos and promote sustainable development.
In the Philippines, it is an obstacle for women to partake a bigger role and impact in politics. Leadership is still conceptualized in terms of masculinity. Politics, as in many spheres of life in the Philippines, is still very much a male enclave. From the smallest government unit up to the national level, men dominate. Politics is still largely viewed as man's world. Gender imbalances still persist despite breakthroughs to advance the rights of women. Further, the norms of gender have traditionally prescribed distinct roles in society for two sexes. Men are then primarily given the responsibility for affairs in the public sphere, politics and economic, whereas women are assigned in the central position in the private sphere, the home and family. Men and women have different leadership styles. Men are more commanding or controlling. They are more into providing incentives or penalties. They brand themselves by letting others know about their successes and strengths, and they are more in directing and supporting. On the other hand, women are more cooperative and participatory. They find self-worth and satisfaction among their subordinates. They are still learning how to brand themselves. They are more into transformational, transactional, and participative leadership style. They are benevolent, compassionate, ethical, and universalistic, spreading the good. And lastly, they are more on delegating and coaching. There is no difference in the flexibility and efficiency between sexes, according to Kuchinkova in 2017. Both sexes who are experienced or more have the same drive, skills, temperament, and competitiveness. It cannot be concluded that men's leadership skills are more powerful and important compared to women's or vice versa. But it is clear that gender differences do exist. In Philippine realm, only 2 women became head of the state. First, Corazon C. Aquino. Second, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Our 1986 People Power Revolution led to the late Corazon Aquino assuming the top position of power. Our second People Power Revolution 15 years later resulted in the first female Vice President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, ascending to the presidency. Notable distinctions. First, We are the first Asian country to elect a female president. Second, we continue to outlead other Asian countries when it comes to closing the disparity between women and men in terms of social, political, intellectual, cultural, and economic attainments or attitudes. In the Philippines, efforts to make governance gender responsive are promoted through legislation, such as the Magna Carta of Women or the MCW, which mandates non-discriminatory and pro-gender equality and equity measures to enable women's participation in the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of policies, plans, and programs for national, regional, and local development. With this, again, it cannot be concluded that men's leadership skills are more powerful and important compared to women's or vice versa. But it is clear that gender differences do exist and people should capitalize on them.